Howdy, howdy. How are you doing today? I just went to the gym the other day, and I hadn't been for a couple weeks. And we had to start talking politics. I saw a guy I hadn't seen for a little while, and he says, "Well, and I says, what do you think about what's happening in the Middle East?" And he says, "Well, what do you think if Canada and Mexico were always attacking us?" And then, of course, I'd said a minute earlier, I said, well, what if we had to allow China to take half of the United States and we didn't have enough firepower to kick them out? And but the international community says, you got to give up half of your country to, foreigners, or at least, maybe they could have said, oh, we were here 3,000 years ago. So they're coming back. So there's always going to be two sides to the story. So I think the best solution is the solution you've probably heard of, Tito, the president of Yugoslavia when it was under communist rule, but he was a dictator. But he didn't take all his orders from Brezhnev or whoever was in charge at the time. And this guy, Tito, he was the big guy in town. So if you had different ethnic groups in Yugoslavia, well, they're not going to kill each other or harass each other because the guy up at the top of the ladder won't put up with it. So what I'm thinking, the best thing we could do is to put something that's with the United Nations and then take the weapons away from both sides and have the United Nations kind of run things. And if there's people that are unemployed because of all the destruction, well, rebuilding can take place because I'm sure less than a dime to the dollar what we're paying Israel now, we could rebuild houses. It's not as technical as, rockets and things. So then, if you have the United Nations in charge and nobody else has the weapons, they have to turn them in. Basically, I think, and then draw the lines, I would say, pre-1967, and it is what it is. I think that'll work out. And hopefully people on both sides will start, handing out the olive branch. But we need to get everything stopped over there. And then if the UN is in charge and has the same kind of powers that maybe Tito had over Yugoslavia, then when somebody steps out of line on either side, the hammer comes down on them. And then the other people that are more moderate or willing to work with each other, then there's more, those are the people that will be more in charge, or, that can be more in charge or do more projects together until it can be seen that they can work together and on an even footing. And I don't think Hamas or anybody hardline terrorists on either side should be able to get away with anything. But unless the United Nations has a little clout, now the United Nations aren't perfect either. But, I think we can try to make, on an individual situation. I mean, there were some problems with some UN peacekeepers even in Africa. But I don't think that's going to be anywhere like the hate, the resentment, and the other types of hate that there is. The better than thou, or why'd you take this from me, or whatever. That's got to stop. And I think somebody that has more clout, the way Tito had more clout before Yugoslavia broke up into ethnic issues and cleansing and all the insanity. We got to have somebody that, and then we can teach both sides, that a more objective, show both points of view, and let people decide. And I think there'll be more people that work together. And then if you're a Palestinian, you say, well, you killed 10,000 or 12,000 of my people. Well, you say, well, you guys, you shouldn't have done what you did on October 7th. And then everybody just keeps going back further in time of who massacred who when. Well, that's going to have to be all second and third fiddle, working together, rebuilding Gaza, and and giving some less weapons for each side, and stop the expansion in the West Bank, and then see if there's a chance if somebody that's a little more in charge can get people to work together, and whether it's a two-state or a one-state solution where everybody's got the equal amount of power to vote and things. But it looks like neither one can handle the power well, because they take advantage of the situation. So I think we need somebody in charge, kind of like the United Nations, but with some clout, the way Tito had clout and was able to stop and not allow just minorities kill each other and stuff. He was the big boy in town, and that stuff just wasn't able to surface until he fell. Well, anyway, I think that would be a good solution, and then maybe the olive branch will have a chance to develop even for the majority rather than the minority on each side. Have a great day. Talk to you later. Bye.